A lot of people actually think that recovery is a destination, that one day you will just wake up and the clouds are clear and you are no longer struggling with the physical symptoms, you are no longer struggling with the feelings of unreality, the thoughts are gone, you are no longer feeling the emotions, which is not the case. I, having walked the anxiety journey myself and having worked with hundreds of clients, that is not how recovery works. Recovery from anxiety is subtle. Recovery from anxiety is quiet. Recovery from anxiety is gradual. It is not a one-stop thing. A lot of people wake up in the morning and start checking their body. They start scanning, they start monitoring their body, like, am I still struggling with the dizziness? Am I still having the feelings of unreality? Am I still having the headaches? That is focusing on the anxiety. That is giving anxiety attention. And when you focus on anxiety, your brain, what your brain reads into that is that it is a threat. Therefore, more stress hormones in your body, more anxiety, more of the symptoms that you are trying to fight, more sensitization. So now therefore, you are creating what we call the disordered loop. If you have ever heard me talk about, anxiety disorder, that is the disordered loop. Anxiety creates the sensation. You focus on the sensation. The part of the brain called the amygdala releases stress hormones into your body. More anxiety, more of your fear, more sensitization. Therefore, that's how the loop is created. Of course, when you are recovering from anxiety, there will be some signs. You will feel like the intrusive thoughts, they are less repetitive, they are less sticky. The physical symptoms of anxiety, they will be less intensified. There will be some obvious signs, but that's not how to measure progress from anxiety. Because when you measure progress from anxiety by looking at how frequent you experience the physical symptoms, how frequent you are experiencing the intrusive thoughts, you will be wrong. Because now you'll be, in your mind, you'll be like, you are back to square one. There is no progress that is being made, which is not the case. The only and true way to measure progress from anxiety is by how well you are responding to the symptoms instead of reacting, how well you are responding with courage and calm instead of fear and panic. Are you able to live your life? Are you able to go outside without avoiding? Are you able to sit with the discomfort, to tolerate uncertainty? That's the way to measure progress. Are you able to respond? That's the word. Are you able to respond instead of react? So that's how to measure recovery from anxiety. Recovery from anxiety is like an exam. Your brain just wants to see if you are still afraid. If you react in fear, if you react in panic, that's proof that they still, danger, they perceived danger, therefore more anxiety. So in this particular video, I want to talk about the 5 subtle signs that show that you are healing. So if you have always asked yourself, like, how do I know if I'm making progress? In this particular video, I want to talk about signs that your nervous system is healing. If you are new here or you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Millie Albert. Albert is an ex-anxiety sufferer who uses her own experience of suffering and recovery to help others who are still struggling. If you have not yet subscribed yet, I believe if you have watched up to this point, you have subscribed. If you have not yet subscribed, what is the color of your problem? Hit that subscription button. Otherwise, in this channel, we create videos about everything concerning anxiety. You are sensitized, you are struggling with social anxiety, panic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, health anxiety, depression, OCD, any type of anxiety disorder, you are in the right place. Otherwise, let's get started into this video. So the first sign that you are healing from anxiety, your nervous system is healing, is when you stop fearing your symptoms. One of the major challenges, even to me, when I was struggling with anxiety, is having these chest pains, is having these heart palpitations, the migraines, the feelings of unreality that doctors didn't have solutions to. So to me, when I went back to my house from the hospital, when I went back to my house, anytime I experienced heart palpitations, my brain came up with the what if catastrophic thought, what if it's a heart attack? Anytime I had the racing thoughts, my brain came up with the what if catastrophic thought, that what if I lose my mind from this? What if I go crazy from this? One of the main things that I teach in this channel is that those symptoms are a result of a sensitized nervous system. Those symptoms are a result of a tired nervous system. You overwhelmed your body with stress, and when our body is overwhelmed with stress, it reacts with anxiety. Your nervous system reached its threshold. Our nervous system is like a cup. It can only take a certain amount of stress. When you overwhelm it with stress, it produces symptoms. That's now why you are having these physical symptoms. The first time that you had that physical symptom, the first time that you had, maybe maybe it was a panic attack, you didn't know how to respond. Instead, you reacted with panic and with fear. You didn't know better. No one of us knew. That's why I actually got stuck in that cycle for 6 years. I didn't know how to respond to, the depression, the feelings of unreality. They were not fun. They were scary. So because of how you reacted, you taught your nervous system fear. So you are always stuck in the fight or flight because you didn't teach. Your behaviors have not taught your nervous system safety. You have always, fought. You have always resisted. You have always suppressed. You have always avoided. This signals danger to your nervous system. Now the fight or flight response became activated and you're struggling with these symptoms. So now you have understood that. Now you need to know that those symptoms are a result of a tired mind. Those symptoms are a result of a sensitized nervous system. You're very healthy. You don't need to make countless visits to the doctors trying to seek reassurance, because anxiety is not something physical. Anxiety is not a medical condition. Anxiety is a problem of the nerves. Your nerves are sensitive. They are working better than everyone else. So once I had this information, even if my brain came up with the worstest scenario of what if I lose my mind, what if it's a heart attack, what if I die from this, already I had understood what is happening. Therefore, it was easy for me to throw these symptoms under the anxiety umbrella, because I knew these symptoms are caused by a sensitized nervous system, and what I needed to do at that moment was to communicate safety to my nervous system. So once you stop fearing these symptoms, anxiety doesn't exist. Your fear is the one that is driving these symptoms. Recovery begins when you remove fear out of the equation. Fear, more anxiety, more symptoms, more fear, more sensitization. Therefore, you remain stuck. That's why you hear someone is saying, I have been stuck for months, I have been stuck for years, because the fear is the one that is driving this cycle. So when you stop fearing the symptoms, the symptoms begin to dissipate. They begin to fade away, because there is nothing that is there is no will that is holding them together. So when you stop fearing the symptoms, that's a sign that you are healing. The second sign that you're healing is when the anxiety subject does not occupy the whole of your day. When I was struggling with anxiety, when I didn't have the knowledge of what was happening, what I used to think about 24/7 was anxiety. I'm having a conversation, anxiety. I'm reading a book, I'm watching a movie. That's what I used to think about. And this was happening because I was not living life. I was not living real life. I was not, focusing on my hobbies, on my interests, on my goals. What I was thinking of is, how I can be able to think my way out of anxiety, how I can figure my way out of anxiety, how to suppress anxiety. I was constantly scanning my symptoms, analyzing my symptoms, monitoring my symptoms. Now tell me, how can you think of something else when you are constantly monitoring your symptoms? You are constantly trying to think your way out of anxiety. You are constantly trying to figure your way out of anxiety. How can you think of something else? For you to not think of anxiety 24/7, you have to start living. You have to start, focusing on your goals, focusing on your hobbies, focusing in real things in real life. That's even when you will start getting the motivation to, live this life, the interest to live this life. You will start gaining happiness because you will be focusing on the real things in real life. Right now, you are self-centered, and I always say anxiety is selfish. It is, because you are always thinking of yourself. You're not thinking of anything else except yourself. So for you to begin to start gaining interest in real life, finding motivation, focusing on your hobbies, you have to start doing these things. Feeling follows action, and there's no way you can stay in the house, you are not living your life and expecting to feel better. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. You first of all have to start living your life. If you're waiting for yourself to feel better before you start living your life, you're gonna wait forever. It's not going to happen. The first time that I didn't think of anxiety, I was in a conversation, and I was like, it was just some 2 seconds of not thinking of anxiety, and I was actually shocked. I was surprised. It was an amazing moment, because of course when you are struggling with anxiety and you even find relief from the chest pains, from any of the symptoms of anxiety, it is an amazing moment. You feel like finally inner peace, finally. So I was having this conversation, and I realized for 2 seconds I didn't think of anxiety. I was shocked. I was surprised. So when you start living your life, when you start doing the real things in real life, your focus on anxiety will start becoming less and less, and now you will find yourself focusing outward. The inward focus on anxiety will reduce gradually. So if anxiety is not the subject, is not what you think about the whole day, that's a subtle sign that you are recovering from anxiety. The third sign that you are healing from anxiety is when intrusive thoughts start losing their grip. When intrusive thoughts start becoming less repetitive, less scary, less sticky, that's a sign you are recovering from anxiety. And I want you to know this. I will repeat this as many times as I can. Intrusive thoughts are part of anxiety. When someone first joins my coaching program and they ask questions of, sometimes my brain comes up with thoughts of, maybe I won't recover, maybe this is me forever. Those are thoughts brought by anxiety. Think of it. When you are not struggling with anxiety, you never used to have these thoughts, but right now that you are in chronic sensitization, you are in the thick of anxiety, is when you're having these thoughts. Anxiety will latch onto the worst case scenarios and it will come up with any thought. Take thoughts brought by anxiety with a pinch of salt. They are never to be taken seriously because they are not true. It is sensitization. When you are sensitized, your brain is always scanning for danger. And when your brain is scanning for danger, it will latch on anything. It will come up with the worst case scenario. So you have to get used to them. You have to know that, anxiety brings these intrusive thoughts, and I should also throw thoughts under the anxiety umbrella. I should treat them as background noise because that's what they are. Trying to wrestle with, the intrusive thoughts, you will never win against that fight. It is like trying to wrestle with a pig in the mud. You will never win against your intrusive thoughts. The way to overcome these intrusive thoughts is to let them play in the background without trying to figure them out, without trying to analyze them, without trying to stop them, without trying to suppress them, without trying to make them go away, like without trying to add second fears. These things, I call them second fears. Second fears is any action you try to, take on anxiety for you to find relief or from anxiety, for you to try to stop or to try to alleviate anxiety. So if you are adding, anytime you engage with those thoughts, you are giving those thoughts attention, and your brain will see, these thoughts are reported to this person, that's why he or she is engaging them. Therefore, your brain will come up with more of those thoughts. So the way to overcome these thoughts is to let them play in the background. Observe them. Be the observer. Observe them like clouds in the sky. As you do this, gradually those thoughts will reduce their intensity. They will become less scary, less repetitive. They will come less often. They will be less sticky. That's also a sign that you are recovering from anxiety. The fourth subtle sign that you are recovering from anxiety is when you start living. Anxiety has a way of shrinking our lives. When you are a person who loved driving, you no longer want to drive your car. When you are a person who loved going to the malls, you no longer want to do that. When you are a person who loved partying, loved socializing, you no longer want to do these things because, first of all, they might feel overwhelming. When you are socializing, you might feel like, oh, this is too much work, because you're trying to socialize and also you're trying to think of yourself. It's like you're two in one. You are trying to socialize, also you are thinking about yourself. Anxiety can be that selfish. And also, when the first time that you had a panic attack, or maybe you are a person who, when you go out oftenly, you experience extreme, feelings of unreality or extreme heart palpitations. Now you try to, you try to avoid these places. You believe these places are the cause of your anxiety, which is not the case. You are just sensitized, and your past behaviors of resisting, avoiding, running away have communicated danger to your nervous system. So every time you try and go out, anytime you try and go out of your boundaries, anytime you try and do the exposures, it is just logical you're going to experience more anxiety, because in the past you're trying to do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do. You're trying to get out, you're trying to start living, you're trying to expose yourself to your fears. You are going to experience extreme anxiety because this is a new habit. You're trying to form new patterns. So because of what your brain is used to, when you are trying to do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do, when you're trying to develop new neural pathways, it is just logical that you're gonna experience intense anxiety. You need to understand that you are not afraid of these places. You used to go to these places. People do go to these places. You are afraid of the panic attacks, the heart palpitations coming back or being extreme when you are at these places. So if you want to know that you are healing, you are a person who has started living their lives. You are a person who has started going out. You are not calling yourself an introvert. You have started going out. If you are agoraphobic, you can start slowly. You can start going with a safe person. If it is extreme, you can start going with a safe person. Or if you can take it all in, you can just go alone. So one of the subtle signs that you are healing is when you start living your life. Don't wait until you start feeling better for you to start living your life. You will wait forever. Feeling follows action. Start living your life, and then you will start gaining interest. Living your life means exposing yourself to your fears. That means anxiety will start to reduce because you are communicating safety to your nervous system. You are showing it that these places are not dangerous. Stop misfiring those alarms. These places are safe. That's why I'm going towards these places. So if you start living your life, that's a sign that you are healing from anxiety. The fifth sign that you are healing from anxiety is if you are able to tolerate uncertainty and sit with the discomfort. One of the behaviors that anxiety sufferers possess is that they try to control and predict the future, which is impossible. You can't try to control the future. It is not in your hands. You can't predict the future or try to control anything. And this can be seen in your reassurance seeking behaviors. When someone DMs me or try to ask me about these physical symptoms, they need the answer now. They want to know if their future is safe. They need a guarantee. They just want to know that nothing is going to happen to them. If you are having those behaviors, just know that you are trying to control things that are beyond your control. Give up that control and stop trying to predict the future. Even unsensitized people, we are not trying to control anything. We are not trying to predict anything because it's almost impossible. You are just adding pressure to yourself. You're just adding pressure to your already sensitized nerves. What you need to know is that you are safe. You need to have the mindset of, I don't know what is going to happen, but I know that I am safe. And even if something happens, I know that I will be able to handle it. That's how to build your mind to be able to survive on its own. You don't need to be certain about anything because no one is certain about anything in this world. We're just cruising through life. We're just floating. No one is certain about anything. I don't know. I don't need to know. I don't need to have all the answers. If it happens, it happens. I will be able to handle it. But right now, I know that I am safe. That is what it means to tolerate uncertainty. One of the core components of anxiety recovery is to be able to sit with it without needing answers. You don't need to know. You already know this chest pain is brought by anxiety. I don't need to know. I don't need a guarantee that I will be safe, nothing will happen to me. This is anxiety. At the back of my mind, I know that it is anxiety, but because anxiety wants you to take action, you will start seeking reassurance. Just tell me, just give me a guarantee, that is a form of reassurance seeking. You trying to predict things that are impossible and things that you can't control. Also, being able to sit with the discomfort. As humans, our natural instinct when something is making us uncomfortable is to run away, is to escape. If this thing is making us uncomfortable, we want to run away, we want to fight, we want to resist it, we want to escape, we want to avoid, which is natural. But with anxiety, you don't approach it that way. With anxiety, you have to sit with the uncomfortable. For you to be comfortable, you have to sit with the uncomfortable. If you can gradually sit with those uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, it's a sign that you're healing. So those are the 5 signs that you are healing from anxiety. If you have watched up to this point, kindly a thumbs up for this video, like this video, share this video to other people who may need it, subscribe to this channel because it helps the channel grow and YouTube pushes these videos to other people who may need them, and also comment down below from the signs that I have talked about, which one have you observed in yourself that shows you that you are healing. Also, something that I added that can be able to help you in your recovery, if you're someone who feels stuck, if you're someone who is experiencing a lot of setbacks, you are not recovering, you're doing this mistake unconsciously that are preventing you from healing. You are at the nearly recovered stage, but you are still not getting to healing. I wrote a book. If you want to understand anxiety, how anxiety causes symptoms, the mistakes that are preventing you from recovering, and exactly the practical steps and solutions to recover from anxiety, I wrote a book where I put all the thoughts, my own experiences, how I recovered from anxiety, and all the advice that I can give from my own experience. If you need that book, click the link on my TikTok bio. I don't know if I'm gonna pin the link to that book in this comment section. I'm gonna pin that comment. So if you feel stuck and you need all the advice that I can give in one place, that book will definitely help you. Also, you'll be having that book anytime you feel like there's something that you are unsure of, or you need just, sometimes we just need someone to tell us that, it's gonna be okay. We just need a reminder that this is how you deal with the feelings of unreality. This is how you deal with the feeling of being anxious. This is how you deal with the feeling of being on edge, the thoughts. You just need a reminder. So when you have that book, you'll be able to just open this page and read about how do I get over this setback. So that book is definitely gonna help. I'm gonna pin the link of getting that book in this comment section. Otherwise, let's meet on the next one.